Hello friends, it's Nancy from Astrology and Angel Mediums today with another little spreads video. So today is going to be another 4-card spread. I had meant to do like a just exclusively 4-card spreads video, but I feel like a lot of these readings are great as individual videos on their own. So I hope you enjoy this one. This one's going to be a little bit more focused on those of us let me rewind. For those of us that maybe have a business, are maybe struggling with certain aspects of owning a business, or maybe just wanting a little bit more clarity when it comes to the sort of work that we're doing. So this is called the Releasing Business Block Spread. This is one that I really like to use for myself to kind of give me clarity, to kind of focus on different things that maybe I haven't really been giving myself clarity on, to just kind of get a little bit more of that sense of understanding what is the vibe. So I'm going to pull the cards and kind of put the questions on the screen so you guys will see them as well and get a hankering for what this looks like in action. And I will actually be doing a sample reading, as I have been doing for a lot of these different tarot spread videos that I've been doing and posting on here. So let's see. So I'm going to focus on my newer business, not my reading business. So I feel like maybe the energies can get a little bit intertwined. So I may kind of interpret it just more for like my other business that I have at the current moment, and kind of seeing what's going on with that at this time. So, all right. So the very first card is going to be, what limiting belief may be holding me back in my business right now? So this is card number 1. Again, what limiting belief may be holding me back in my business right now? So first card is going to be the 8 of Swords reversed. All right. So card number 2 is going to be, how does this belief affect the way I show up in my business? So how does this belief affect the way I show up in my business? We have the Queen of Wands. Interesting. All right, so card number 3 is going to be, let's see, we'll probably move these guys up a little bit. All right, so card number 3 is going to be, what fear might be fueling this belief and how can I release it? So here we have the Sun. And then finally, what transformation awaits me once I release this belief? So here we have the Knight of Cups reversed. Interesting. So, all right, this is how I would interpret this reading for my specific business. I own 2 businesses. So one of them is this reading thing, and then the other one is a home cleaning and organizing business. So the very first card is going to be, what limiting belief may be holding me back in my business right now? And so here I got the 8 of Swords reversed, which can be a little bit of this kind of twisted up, overthinking, overanalyzing sort of energy. It can feel a little bit like maybe I'm feeling a little bit trapped in some ways, or maybe I'm not feeling like I can really truly be myself, because I feel like when there's a reversed card, it can kind of point back to the lessons of the previous card. So here we have the 7 of Swords, which is a card of like sneaking away, kind of slinking around, being a little bit like having to kind of find the truth in some ways. And I think with this, maybe the biggest thing is that maybe I'm the person that has been limiting a lot of the success I can achieve just because of my own hesitation to branch out, maybe my own hesitation to welcome in other energies to help me kind of grow my business in different ways. And as someone that is a little bit of a control freak, I will gladly admit that. I will say that it has been a little bit of a challenge to kind of open myself up to the possibility of having somebody else working with me and trusting them with my business in that way. So I have found somebody, but again, because of my own like fear of things, maybe not working out or whatever, or kind of feeling like I may put myself in a position where it's hard for me to do everything on my own, there is a little bit of this hesitation. So I think that this is kind of talking about maybe it's like my own mental blockages, my own overthinking, my own overanalyzing, kind of being too much in my head about things, not letting things just be very organic, which is something I've been really trying to do in the last couple of months, to just be a little bit more receptive and open to things growing organically and just letting them be what they're going to be, and just not stressing out, just kind of showing up and doing what I can. So I think with this, it is kind of showing a little bit of this energy. And I will say that it is kind of hard because it's not that I have a fear of being seen in the work. I think that maybe it's more of just I feel a little bit awkward about, saying this is what I'm doing, or this is the sort of work that I'm currently showing up and doing at this time, or whatever. I don't know. It's a very strange thing. Is I don't want people to kind of look at me as though it's a lowly thing when it's not that, if that makes sense. So I think maybe a lot of this is just kind of like my own overthinking, my own overanalyzing, my own sense of not really allowing myself to kind of break away from other people's expectations, or other people's what I feel might be their perception of what I'm doing, if that makes sense. And so I've been really trying to work on healing some of those wounds within myself from a spiritual perspective and an emotional and mental perspective. So the biggest thing has been the mental kind of blockage that comes along with that energy. So I think this is very accurate in kind of telling me maybe I'm the one that feels like I have to kind of hide myself away a little bit. I can't really show up authentically in some ways, if that makes sense. So for card number 2, we have, how does this belief affect the way that I show up in my business? So here we have the Queen of Wands, which is interesting because I look at this as a very powerful, feminine, divine kind of magical energy that is very much about going after things, maybe coming off perhaps a little bit more aggressive in some ways, which is interesting because I would like to look at myself as not that way. But who knows, because I've been told several times in my life that the way that I speak is a little bit aggressive, abrasive, acerbic, all of those nasty little A words, I guess we want to call it, and so maybe this is kind of saying to others, I may come off as too in this energy of being too much in I'm running stuff, I'm doing this, whatever. I may come off a little bit dry. The thing with this is that it's very busy energy too. The work that I've been doing, I've been very busy, thankfully. And so maybe it's coming off that I'm just too busy. I'm not giving myself enough space to kind of move into the energy of where the momentum is really taking me, or maybe even moving into things that actually feel like they're in alignment for my highest good, or even just things that really speak to me, if that makes sense. Because I will admit that maybe I've kind of taken on certain jobs, or certain clients that maybe weren't the best fit, just to kind of fill out my schedule. And I'm kind of coming to the realization I get to choose. So I've been a little bit more aware of what sort of people I'm taking on as clients, what kind of work I am doing, if I'm actually moving into things where I can be hey, this is what I really want. So I don't know if maybe other people are just kind of seeing me as too much of a mover and shaker, and not so much of someone that, I don't want to say doesn't follow through, but maybe a little too flaky, I guess. I don't know how to describe this kind of energy, because I'm trying to think of how does this belief affect the way that I show up in my business? Is that maybe I feel I have to be this boss bitch, and that is something I am struggling with. I guess I'm just having this realization just now, where I feel I'm the one that has to do everything all of the time, and I have to understand I have to be able to trust others to do the things that I'm assigning them to do, if that makes sense. So maybe that's what's affecting me, is that I don't know how to kind of just be the boss, if that makes sense. It's I'm very much a person that I won't ever ask somebody to do something that I would never do, if that makes sense. And so it's been kind of challenging to delegate a little bit more, and to kind of release and not feel oh, these are all my things and I have to do them all the time. All right, so card number 3 is going to be, what fear might be fueling this belief and how can I release it? So here we have the Sun, which is a card of joy and warmth and allowing yourself to really like shine and show up and enjoy things. And I feel it's very much about like that triumph, you know, at the end of the day of like, oh, look, everything's like coming together. It's beautiful. It's magical. So I think maybe it's been challenging for me to see and allow myself to really bask in the successes that I've had. And being able to kind of say like, hey, I am allowed to have things be fun and easy and enjoyable, because as someone that is now well into their 40s, I can say that I've worked for a very long time. Not all jobs are enjoyable. There's always something that comes along with a job that is just going to make you feel a little bit helpless in some ways, or hopeless, and a little bit trapped. So I feel like the energy of this card is kind of saying like, maybe I'm afraid to let myself really have fun with it. And that is something that I've been really trying to focus on. It's like, yes, I need to do a really good job, but I also just want to enjoy the work that I'm doing, like in so many ways, because I feel like whenever I am enjoying something, everything else really falls into place. Everything really like comes together. I'm constantly trying to learn and adjust and grow and, you know, kind of change how I view a lot of these things. So I think the energy with this is that it's really saying like, hey, maybe my fear of just letting myself really shine in this and really allowing myself to say, this is what I'm doing. There's nothing wrong with it. It's like so funny because I recently had an Akashic Records reading with a really lovely, amazing, and powerful person that was so transformative. And one of the things that really came up was maybe like shame or guilt around the sort of work that I'm doing now, and kind of calling it like the sacred janitor sort of work, or janitorial work. And so it's a lot of what I do isn't just like the cleaning. I am very good at it. Because I'm someone that's very attention to detail oriented, but there's also like the energetic cleansing that I do with like just trying to like spruce up the energy in the spaces that I'm in by being very intentional about how I'm cleaning, if that makes sense. And so maybe like that's what I need to lean into more, is like doing both things, if that makes sense, like this like more spiritual, emotional, energetic kind of cleansing, and also the physical cleansing that I do. So I think maybe like it's kind of saying like, hey, my fear is maybe in allowing myself to really shine and show up in this way, because again, I have issues with visibility, being seen, being perceived. It's weird. I don't know if anybody else struggles with this in the way that I feel like I constantly do, where I'm like, I just don't want to be perceived. I don't want to be seen. I don't really want to be known in this way, if that makes sense. And that maybe like that's what I need to heal here, is to just allow myself to shine and step more into my Leo rising, which I really just struggle with all of the time. So I think maybe it's just trying to find ways that I can add in more joy, try to, you know, really release that it's okay for me to also be happy doing what I do. So finally, card number 4 is going to be, what transformation awaits me once I release this belief? Now, I think it's interesting because another reverse card, and the Knight of Cups is typically a card of like romance and kind of going after like what you love. It's creative, it's intuitive, this, that, the other, very emotional, very much about connection and things like that. And there's a youthfulness to this card here, not so much like a page, but still there's a renewed sense of this connection. Now, this being reversed is kind of saying like, maybe I won't be so emotionally invested in how other people receive what I'm bringing to them, if that makes sense. So maybe like that's the biggest thing, because I do feel like there's a little bit of like a rejection sensitivity about telling people about what I do. And I feel like we measure each other, right? Like that's just how human nature is. Comparison is a big thing. But I also have like this understanding that I think if you really love what you're doing, it doesn't really matter what anybody else has to say about what you're doing, right? And maybe that's the transformation that's awaiting me, is like not waiting for other people to kind of come to where I'm at with the sense of peace that I feel over the work that I'm doing, but then maybe even understanding that it's okay because it's like I get to just really choose how I want to move forward with this energy and what I want for it. So I think that with this releasing blocks, business block spread, I think it's really just kind of telling me like I need to kind of rewire, rework my own internalization of what I'm doing so that I can really show up in ways that feel a little bit more authentic to me, that feel a little bit less kind of stuck in other people's expectations or how other people may receive what I'm doing. At the end of the day, it's my life. I have to live it. I'm the one that has to kind of show up and do what I'm doing. So if I love it, then that's going to radiate out, right? So let me know what you guys think of this releasing business block spread. Is this a spread that you've used in the past? Do you do spreads for your businesses or for your career? Let me know. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for joining me. Please take care, stay safe, and as always, make good choices. Bye.